As Memorial Day weekend approaches, here's a quick update on gas prices. The fuel savings platform GasBuddy reports that the national average price of gasoline is expected to be $3.80 on Memorial Day. This price is forecasted to continue falling due to the president's energy policies. It is also lower than last Memorial Day, and when adjusted for inflation, it marks the second cheapest gas price on Memorial Day since 2003, a trend attributed to President Trump's influence.
You all recognize this person, Trump's press secretary, Caroline Leavitt.
You all know who this is, Trump's press secretary, Caroline Leavitt. President Trump just finished doing one jumping jack for every fallen soldier in honor of Memorial Day. What many people don't realize is that the J in Donald J. Trump actually stands for jumping jacks. He does them with such ease, it's truly impressive to watch. While doing them, he was even dictating speeches, thanks to his exceptional breath control and strong cardiovascular health, unlike the previous administration. I won't get into that, but I do hope they recover soon. President Trump was deeply grateful for the troops of the United States, because no one loves our military more than he does. However, the day was clouded by the strong disdain President Trump feels for the radical left and those working against our mission to make America great again. We're simply trying to do what's best for the American people, even as some still hold on to the false narratives left behind by the previous administration. Caitlin, write this down. This is going to be important. You're about to hear some truth like never before. I've been authorized to finally release records revealing what Joe Biden has been doing and explaining why some of these holiday parties are so focused on diversity.
Who is frequently ridiculed for her repeated falsehoods at the podium by comedian and TikToker Lisandra Vasquez.
Tariffs are essentially a tax increase on foreign nations that have long taken advantage of the U.S. At the same time, they serve as a tax reduction for the American people. The president strongly supports tax cuts and has consistently promoted them. As part of his campaign, he pledged no taxes on tips, no taxes on overtime pay, and no taxes on Social Security benefits. He remains firmly committed to all three goals and expects Congress to pass these measures later this year.
I'm sorry, but have you ever actually paid a tariff? Because I have, and let me tell you, tariffs aren't charged to foreign companies. They're imposed on the importers here in the U.S.
Ultimately, when we achieve fair and balanced trade, something the American people haven't experienced in decades, as I mentioned earlier, our revenue will remain in the country, wages will rise, and our nation will become prosperous once again. Frankly, I find it insulting that you're questioning my understanding of economics and the decisions made by this president. I now regret taking a question from the Associated Press.
When asked about her stance on the Diet Tribe and her praise of the president, she deflected from key issues, including the campaign promises that were left out of the much-touted bill, as well as her misleading statements about tariffs. She then shifted blame onto an AP reporter. And on the topic of gloating,
Donald Trump has just claimed victory in yet another push-up contest, and not just any push-ups. While everyone else was using both arms, he confidently declared, "I've got this," and powered through with just one. His core strength? Practically superhuman. If you've ever seen him aboard Air Force One, you'll know he doesn't sit like the rest of us. No, he prefers to stand atop an upside-down Bosu ball, perfectly balanced. A metaphor, he says, for how he balances being a businessman, a patriot, a global figure, and the leader of the free world. It's even rumored that the founder of Pilates took notes from Donald J. Trump himself. But let's not get sidetracked. His incredible stability might just come down to his hands, which, according to sources, provide an unusually wide and powerful base. But this message isn't about fitness. It's about Memorial Day. So happy Memorial Day, happy grilling, and don't forget, Trump steaks are back at trumpsteaks.com. He's also releasing a new family barbecue sauce recipe, with edible gold flakes, of course, because nothing says golden age of America like golden condiments. President Trump has also issued a personal message for the American people. He urges us to honor the troops, remember the Alamo, and never forget his historic landslide victory. And to those who question that last part, yes, Caitlin, and yes, Washington Post, he's watching.
I want everyone to understand that her main role is to consistently, passionately, and absolutely lie. To the press, to the American.
Of course, as a Republican and a young conservative on college campuses, you find yourself in the minority.
Caroline Leavitt, 27 years old, has earned the nickname KK Caroline in her home state of New Hampshire due to her controversial opinions and victim-like stance. When she's not misleading and gaslighting the American public from the White House press room, she spends time with her 59-year-old husband, refuses to repay $325,000 in debts from her unsuccessful 2022 congressional campaign, appears in a Project 2025 training video, ignores reporters who include pronouns in their emails, ejects reporters from the White House, labels Black Lives Matter as a terrorist organization, and supports privatizing Social Security as well as banning abortion. Her views align closely with the most extreme right-wing politicians in the country, which is unsurprising considering she grew up with Fox News constantly on in her household and even interned there during college. Leavitt ran for Congress in New Hampshire in 2022 and accepted over $325,000 in illegal donations, most of which have not been refunded to donors as the law requires, and these funds went undisclosed for years. Now that she's part of the White House, it's uncertain whether she will face any consequences, but the likely answer is no. What's more revealing is how she has been carefully prepared for this very moment.
President Trump, having just completed a record number of lunges in front of the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier to honor Memorial Day, also wanted to send his congratulations to the West Point graduates. He delivered a truly heartfelt speech that moved the entire audience, not a single dry eye in the House. In his remarks, President Trump reassured the graduates that the future is in excellent hands with them, as well as with his own, emphasizing their strength and the fact that America is a merit-based nation, free from DEI policies, critical race theory, and transgender issues. Known as the author of The Art of the Deal, Trump showcased his skill with words again by delivering a powerful message. He also reminded everyone not to judge trophy wives, explaining that some are simply chosen and can't help being the prize, unlike those who are deeply unlovable, incompetent, and unlikely ever to be chosen, like Caitlin.
A legal citizen, Leonardo Garcia Venegas, was detained despite having an...
Yeah, so the guy who's like a brown version of Leonardo DiCaprio. Or trying to be... Well, I checked out his photo. He's not as attractive, but I guess he can give it a shot. Honestly, he wouldn't be in this situation if people voluntarily left the country, and if business owners were courageous enough to hire folks who might risk getting targeted by ICE, kind of like patriots such as Kid Rock.
She is frequently mocked, and with good reason, by the comedian Vasquez for her appearances. Here are my final thoughts on the matter. Lisandra Vasquez represents a movement in the arts that has long had to unite and express anti-fascist ideas, not only to resist, but to create a symbolic barrier against what certain groups are attempting to do. Caroline Leavitt is far from innocent. She is part of a fascistic faction trying to seize control of this country, and she's merely receiving a small portion of the rewards, a few crumbs from a much larger pie, to further the agenda of those who truly hold power. That's the reality here. She deserves to be ridiculed for her actions. Why does she have so many unpaid bills from her congressional campaign? That alone is a massive story that most Americans don't know about. A small segment of voters will likely remain indifferent because they support her views and the people she aligns with. But these are glaring warning signs. Another huge red flag. She's involved with a man about 30 years her senior. What's really going on there? No one knows. But Vasquez, like many others, demonstrates how art, comedy, and theater serve as forms of resistance against conservatism. Conservatism clings to the past and resists adapting to the present. What we're seeing is an effort to expose how stubborn and problematic these people are. That's why I support this pushback and look forward to highlighting it even more. Thanks so much for watching. If you can, please consider becoming a channel member by visiting youtube.com/tightports and clicking the join button. If that's not convenient, you can also join at tyt.com/join. Your support helps everyone here at the Young Turks and keeps our network running. Also, feel free to follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. I appreciate the support. Have a great day.